The cold wind cut through the hull of the small shuttle as it approached the frozen planet of Calyx 9. Captain Elias Rourke sat in the pilot's chair, hands steady on the controls, though his mind was far from calm. He had seen many worlds, but something about this place felt different. It was silent except for the hum of the shuttle's engines and the distant crackling of ice. He checked the coordinates again. The message had been simple but strange. "You paid for me. Now finish it." There was no sender name, only the signature, Lyra. He did not know who she was or why someone had paid for her. Yet the urgency in the message had drawn him here. Curiosity, and perhaps a sense of unfinished business, pulled him toward Calyx 9. The shuttle landed with a soft thud on the ice. Elias exhaled, feeling the frost bite at his face as he opened the cabin door. The planet was barren, a vast expanse of white and gray stretching to the horizon. There were no trees, no mountains, just ice fields that reflected the pale light of a distant sun. Yet in the distance, a small colony rose from the ice like a cluster of strange, angular rocks. As he approached the colony, a figure appeared in the swirling snow. Elias squinted, focusing on the shape. It was a woman, but not entirely human. Her skin had a faint shimmer, and her eyes were a striking shade of violet. She was walking unsteadily as if each step pained her. Her clothes were torn and frost-covered, yet she moved with determination. "You must be Elias," she said, her voice soft but commanding. "Lyra, I have been waiting for you." Elias raised an eyebrow. "You've been waiting? How? Who sent you this message?" Lyra shook her head. "It does not matter, only that you came. You were chosen to finish what was started long ago." Elias frowned, a mix of confusion and concern crossing his face. "Chosen? Finish what? Look, I don't even know who paid for you or what you mean by finish it." She stepped closer, and Elias noticed the faint markings on her arms, glowing softly in the dim light. Below this colony lies something humans should never have touched. You were part of it. You might not remember, but your actions have consequences. Elias felt a chill deeper than the cold wind. Memories flickered in his mind. Old missions, distant contracts, decisions he had made in shadows of space. He had faced danger many times, but something about Lyra's words carried weight, a sense of finality he could not ignore. "I will help you," he said finally, setting aside fear, "but you will have to explain everything, step by step." Lyra nodded, a faint relief passing over her face. "Then we must move quickly. The place below is unstable. It reacts to intruders, and not in a way humans can survive easily." They entered the colony together. It was abandoned, or so it seemed. Broken machinery lay scattered, and the walls were scratched with symbols that neither human nor Elias recognized. The air was thin but breathable, and the faint hum of dormant systems suggested life long gone. Lyra led him to a hatch at the edge of the main hall. "This is the entrance to the tunnels," she said. "The ones humans dug in search of resources. They found more than they bargained for. That is what waits below." Elias took a deep breath. The metal under his gloves was cold, but he gripped the railing tightly. "You said humans dug. Was someone here before?" "Yes," she replied. "Many years ago. They tried to take what should not be taken. They disturbed something alive. Something that does not forget." He swallowed hard. He had heard rumors of planets with ancient life forms, but Calyx 9 was not known for such dangers. The warning in her voice made his stomach twist. "What happens if we go down there?" Elias asked. Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes steady. "You will see the truth. The price humans pay for greed. And you have a choice. Finish it, or leave and carry the weight forever." Elias thought about the lives he had saved, the choices he had made in his career. He knew fear, yet he also knew the strength humans had when faced with impossible odds. With a nod, he stepped toward the hatch. The tunnel was dark. Elias activated his flashlight, the beam cutting through the icy shadows. The walls were carved by machines, but there were also signs of something organic, patterns that pulsed faintly. With an eerie light, Lyra moved ahead with ease, almost as if she belonged there. "This way," she whispered. "Keep close. The tunnels are alive, in a sense. They will try to mislead you, to make you doubt yourself." Elias tightened his grip on his tools. He had faced hostile planets before, but the sense of awareness in these tunnels was unsettling. The walls seemed to shift in his peripheral vision, and faint sounds echoed through the cold air, whispers that seemed almost intelligent. They reached a fork in the path. Lyra paused, placing a hand on the wall, feeling its vibrations. "This way," she said, pointing to the right. "The other path leads to danger that is unprepared for visitors." As they moved, Elias noticed markings carved into the walls, symbols that glowed faintly in the beam of his flashlight. Lyra began tracing them with her fingers, murmuring in her own language. The symbols responded, pulsing more brightly. "What are those?" Elias asked. "They are warnings," Lyra said. "From the life below. The original inhabitants left them. Humans cannot read them fully, but the message is clear. Do not disturb what sleeps." Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. He had seen many ruins, many worlds, but nothing that felt alive in the way these walls did. The sense of presence was almost suffocating. Hours seemed to pass as they moved deeper. The temperature dropped, and the air became harder to breathe. Elias was exhausted, yet he pressed on, driven by curiosity and duty. Lyra stayed close, guiding him, her knowledge of the alien structures unmatched. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. The ceiling arched high, covered in crystals that refracted light from their torches, casting strange shadows. At the center was a sealed door, massive and ancient, etched with the same glowing symbols. "This is it," Lyra said. "Beyond this door lies the secret humans were never meant to find. What you see here will change you. It will test everything you believe about yourself, about humanity." Elias studied the door, his hand resting on the cold metal. He felt fear, yes, but also a strange excitement. Humans were explorers, survivors, problem solvers. He thought about the risks, but he also thought about the reward. Knowledge, discovery, perhaps redemption for mistakes long past. He turned to Lyra. "I'm ready. Show me what we need to finish." She nodded, placing her hand on the door. The symbols flared brightly, reacting to her touch. The door began to hum, slowly sliding open, revealing a darkness so deep it seemed to absorb light. A faint pulse echoed from within, rhythmic, almost alive. Elias swallowed. The air smelled of metal and ice, tinged with something organic. The sound of the pulse grew louder, resonating through his chest. Lyra looked at him. "Once we step in, there is no turning back. You will see what humans have done and what must be corrected." Elias took a deep breath. "I didn't come this far to turn back." Together they stepped through the doorway. The darkness enveloped them, but Elias kept moving, trusting his instincts and Lyra's guidance. The chamber seemed endless, the walls stretching farther than he could see, and then a sound, a low, almost musical vibration echoed through the floor. Elias froze. Lyra's hand tightened on his arm. "It's awake," she whispered, "and it knows we are here." Elias felt a surge of fear, but beneath it was determination. Humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, problem solvers, brave in the face of the unknown. He had faced death before, and he would face it again if it meant protecting life, uncovering truth, and finishing what had been started. The pulse grew stronger, the light from the walls dimming as if the chamber itself were reacting to their presence. Elias realized that the moment he had feared, yet secretly hoped for, had arrived. And in that moment, he understood one simple truth. Humans were small in the universe, but their courage could shine brighter than any star. He tightened his grip on his tools, his eyes fixed ahead. Whatever lay below, he would face it, not just for himself, but for all humans, and perhaps for Lyra too. The chamber awaited, and so did the truth. The darkness swallowed them as Elias and Lyra stepped deeper into the chamber. The pulse from the core below reverberated through the floor, vibrating through Elias's boots and into his chest. He adjusted his flashlight, its beam cutting a narrow path through the blackness. Every sound seemed amplified, the soft hum of their equipment, the faint echo of dripping water, the distant groan of shifting metal. This place, it's bigger than I imagined, Elias murmured. How far does it go? Lyria's eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Deeper than humans have dared to go. Long ago, your species dug here for resources. They found something alive, and they disturbed it. They left. But what they left behind waits for any who follow. Elias shivered. He had faced dangerous planets before, hostile wildlife, collapsing caverns, deadly storms. But there was something different here. The tunnels themselves seemed aware, almost conscious, as if watching their every move. He tightened his grip on his tools, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The first fork in the tunnel approached. The walls on either side were slick with ice, etched with strange patterns that shimmered faintly in the flashlight beams. Lyra stopped and pressed her hand against the wall. This way, she whispered. The other path leads to danger we are not ready for. As they moved, Elias noticed subtle changes in the air. It grew colder, and a faint hum resonated from the walls like the distant heartbeat of the planet itself. The symbols along the walls pulsed in response to their steps. Elias paused. Are these alive? In a sense, Lyra replied. They are traces of the original inhabitants, their technology fused with life. They record what happens here. Humans cannot fully understand it, but it remembers everything. Elias swallowed hard. And it doesn't like intruders. Correct, Lyra said. Be careful. The tunnels test intruders, trying to separate fear from courage. You must focus. They continued, their boots crunching against the icy floor. At intervals, the tunnel opened into small chambers, each filled with alien machinery that had long since fallen silent. Some machines seemed organic, veins running through metal like a living organism. Elias examined one, noting faint scratches along the surface. These weren't just machines, he said. They were alive, or part alive. Lyra nodded. Yes, they are extensions of the planet's life. When humans dug here, they disrupted a system they could not comprehend. These machines, they protect the core. They will not allow the same mistakes to happen again. Hours passed. The further they went, the heavier the air became, making it difficult to breathe. Elias wiped sweat from his brow, even in the cold. He felt exhaustion, but also a burning curiosity. He had to see what lay ahead, had to understand the consequences of human greed. The walls began to narrow, forcing them into a single file path. The hum of the tunnel grew louder, more insistent, and Elias felt the vibrations in his chest sink with his heartbeat. Lyra glanced at him. It senses us. Keep your thoughts steady. Fear feeds it. Confidence strengthens you. Elias nodded, taking a deep breath. He focused on the memory of past victories, the lives he had saved, the impossible missions he had survived. Human courage was not just in physical strength. It was in the mind, in determination, in the refusal to give up. He felt that strength rise within him, a light against the oppressive darkness. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. The ceiling arched high, lined with crystal formations that refracted their flashlight beams in dizzying patterns. At the center was a massive structure, half machine, half organic, pulsing with a dim light that seemed alive. Elias approached, cautiously, noting that the pulse synchronized with the faint hum of the tunnel. This is part of the system, Lyra said, gesturing to the structure. It monitors intruders. It can harm those who are not careful, but it can also be navigated by someone who understands the balance of fear and courage. Elias studied the structure. Faint movements could be seen beneath the surface, like something was flowing within its veins. He could almost feel eyes upon him, the presence of intelligence hidden in the machinery. "How do we get past it?" he asked. "You follow the rhythm," Lyra replied. "Listen to the pulse. It is not just sound. It is a language, a guide. You must move with it." Elias closed his eyes for a moment, focusing on the vibrations beneath his feet. He felt the pulse sync with his breathing, and slowly, he began to move, stepping carefully in time with the rhythm. Lyra followed, her movements perfectly synchronized with his. The structure seemed to shift as they moved, the pulse growing stronger, almost approving. Elias felt a thrill of understanding. Humans could adapt, learn, and survive where others would fail. Their ingenuity was their greatest weapon. Finally, they reached the far side of the chamber. The pulse softened, fading as they stepped beyond the structure. Elias exhaled, feeling a rush of relief and pride. "We made it," he whispered. "Temporarily," Lyra said. "The core is still ahead. This was only the first test. What awaits is far greater than any machinery." The path narrowed again, leading them deeper into the ice. Elias noticed faint markings along the walls, depicting figures that seemed both alien and human. Lyra touched one of them, her fingers tracing the lines. "These are warnings. The planet records the mistakes of those who come before. Humans ignored them once. You must not." Elias glanced at the symbols. He wondered how many lives had been lost here, how many explorers had vanished without a trace. It was a chilling reminder of human fragility, yet also of human bravery. Hours blurred together. Their path twisted and descended, spiraling down into the heart of the planet. Strange noises echoed from the depths, low rumbles, shifting stones, whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Elias's grip on his tools tightened. "Almost there," Lyra said. "The core is near. The chamber ahead contains what humans sought, and what humans could not control." Elias felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Humans had always been explorers, reaching for the unknown despite danger. Here, in the darkness of Calyx 9, that courage was being tested, like never before. At last they emerged into a vast chamber. The ceiling stretched out of sight, lined with bioluminescent crystals that cast a soft glow. At the center, a massive orb pulsed with energy, its surface swirling with light and shadows. Elias felt the pulse in his chest, stronger now, more insistent. Lyra stepped forward. "This is it, the heart of the planet, the core. Humans tried to take it, they failed. The life within protects itself. It absorbs intruders, transforms them. What remains below is a record of human greed and error." Elias's stomach churned. He had expected danger, but not this. The orb seemed alive, aware, its pulses sending waves of thought into his mind. Visions of explorers trapped, twisted, and merged with alien machinery. He stepped back instinctively. "You must be careful," Lyra warned. "The core can sense intentions. If you approach with greed or fear, it will consume you. Only courage, only purpose, will allow you to survive." Elias steadied his breathing. He thought of all he had faced, all he had learned. Humans were fragile, yes, but they were also resilient. They could adapt, endure, and overcome. He stepped forward, slowly, mind focused on the purpose that had brought him here. To finish what had begun, to face the truth and to survive. The orb pulsed in response, light rippling across the chamber. Elias felt a surge of understanding. This was alive, not just a machine, not just an energy source. It remembered, it reacted, it judged. Lyra's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. "We are ready," she said. "Whatever comes, we face it together." Elias nodded. The darkness around them was thick, the air heavy with the weight of the unknown. Yet he felt something stir within him, something uniquely human. Courage, curiosity, ingenuity, the strength to face impossible odds and emerge alive. Together they moved toward the heart of the chamber. The pulse grew stronger, echoing through the walls, through the floor, through Elias's chest. He knew the real test was about to begin, and in that moment, he understood one simple truth. Humans were explorers, survivors, and thinkers. They faced the unknown not because they had no fear, but because they had courage greater than fear. The core awaited, and so did the truth. The chamber seemed endless. Elias felt the pulse of the orb under his boots, each beat like a warning drum echoing in his chest. Lyra walked beside him, her steps sure, calm, and deliberate. Yet Elias could sense the tension in her, a quiet alertness that spoke of danger he could not yet see. "This is it," Lyra whispered. "Beyond this point lies what humans were never meant to touch. It is the truth of greed, of curiosity untempered by respect. What lies ahead will test your heart, Elias." He swallowed hard. He had faced danger many times, but nothing prepared him for this. The chamber walls were alive in a subtle way, glowing with alien symbols that shifted and pulsed as they moved. The air smelled faintly metallic, mixed with an organic tang, like ice and life combined. Every instinct in his body screamed caution, but he pushed forward, gripping his tools tightly. As they approached the center, the orb pulsed brighter, casting long shadows across the chamber. Then Elias saw it, remnants of the previous human expedition. Broken machinery fused with organic matter, twisted into forms that were half alive, half metal. It was grotesque, yet mesmerizing. The bodies of the explorers were preserved in a state of suspended animation, their faces frozen in fear, their limbs merged with the machines they had brought to explore the planet. Elias staggered back, unable to tear his eyes away. He felt a mix of horror and fascination. This is what happens," he whispered. Lyra nodded solemnly. "Yes, the core absorbs intruders who disturb it. It does not destroy them entirely, but it does not let them go. Their essence becomes part of the planet's record, a warning and a memory." He knelt beside one of the figures, recognizing the insignia on the uniform. These are humans. They came here to mine, to take, and now they are part of this place." "The core is alive," Lyra said. "Not alive like you or me, but aware. It reacts, remembers, judges. Humans disturbed it, and it protected itself. That is what it does best." Elias felt a cold chill. He thought of all the stories he had heard about explorers lost in space, of greed and ambition leading to ruin. Yet here, it was all so clear, so undeniable. The price of human curiosity, when not tempered with respect, was the ultimate one, their very essence consumed, twisted, and preserved as a warning. He glanced at Lyra. "Why did you bring me here? Why me?" She looked at him with eyes that glimmered like the orb itself. "Because you can finish it. The others came unprepared, unworthy. You have courage, intelligence, and restraint. You are human, but you understand limits. That is why you were chosen." Elias's chest tightened. He did not feel special, only aware of the responsibility now weighing on him. "Finish it." "How?" he asked. "The core must be stopped," Lyra said. "If humans, or anyone, take from it, it will continue to absorb, to transform, to spread. The only way is to destroy the mechanism that sustains it. But it will resist. The core is not passive. It will fight to survive." Elias nodded, feeling a mix of fear and resolve. "Then we do it, we stop it before it spreads." They approached the orb cautiously. Its surface was smooth yet alive, rippling with energy as if it were breathing. Elias extended a hand to touch it, feeling the hum resonate through his body. The pulse was almost hypnotic, a rhythm that seemed to speak directly to the mind. Suddenly, visions flashed through his consciousness. Faces of the explorers twisted and fused with machines, scenes of their panic, their struggle, their last moments. He saw himself in their place, lost, consumed, powerless. He staggered, nearly collapsing, but Lyra's hand on his shoulder grounded him. "Focus, Elias," she said softly. "This is the test. Fear feeds the core. Courage weakens it." He clenched his fists, breathing deeply, and pushed the visions aside. Humans had faced death before countless times, yet they endured. They adapted, they overcame. He was not powerless. He would not allow fear to control him. Moving closer, Elias examined the orb. Lyra pointed to small conduits extending from it into the chamber floor and walls. These are the arteries of the core. Cut them, destabilize the flow, and the core will lose its strength. Elias worked carefully, using his tools to sever the conduits. Sparks flew as metal met metal, and the hum of the orb intensified, as though it sensed the attack. The pulse became erratic, a chaotic rhythm that reverberated through the chamber. The walls shook and small fissures appeared, leaking steam and energy. "Keep going," Lyra shouted. "Do not stop." Elias focused, cutting one conduit after another. The core pulsed violently, energy arcs leaping across the chamber. The fused bodies of the previous explorers twitched, responding to the disturbance. Elias felt a pang of sorrow, realizing these humans were trapped forever because of ambition and greed. He pressed on, heart pounding, until the final conduit was severed. The core shuddered, glowing brighter for a brief moment before beginning to collapse inward. The pulse slowed, then became erratic and finally diminished. The chamber shook violently as the energy drained from the orb, leaving only a faint glow. Elias fell to his knees, exhausted but alive. He had done it. The core was destabilized. The danger was not entirely gone, but the immediate threat had ended. Lyra knelt beside him, her eyes reflecting relief and pride. "It is done," she said. "You have finished what was begun. The core will no longer spread its influence. The planet can begin to heal." Elias looked around the chamber, at the remnants of the explorers and the twisted machinery. "So this is the consequence of human greed," he said quietly. "But also the proof of human courage. We can face the unknown and survive if we are wise and careful." Lyra nodded. "Yes, humans are fragile, yet strong. You have shown both qualities today. That is why you survived." Elias rose slowly, brushing dust and ice from his clothes. The chamber was eerily quiet now, the pulse gone. Yet the memory of it lingered, a reminder of what lay beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively. "Now what?" he asked. "Do we leave?" "Not yet," Lyra said. "There is more to see. The planet is vast, and there are secrets still hidden. But the immediate danger is over. You have proven yourself capable." Elias nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and awe. He had faced something no human had truly understood, and he had survived. Humans were not perfect, but they had ingenuity, courage, and a capacity for growth. That was their strength. They began to make their way back through the tunnels, the journey less tense now but still filled with uncertainty. The chamber had changed them both in ways they could not yet fully understand. Elias felt a new respect for the planet, for life beyond humanity, and for the responsibilities that came with exploration. As they emerged into the wider tunnel system, Elias glanced back at the now dormant orb. It seemed almost peaceful, resting after centuries of vigilance. He wondered what other mysteries the universe held, what other challenges humans would face, and how they would rise to meet them. Lyra walked beside him, her presence a reminder that not all life in the universe was human, yet all life could teach something valuable. She had guided him, protected him, and helped him see the truth. Elias realized that cooperation, understanding, and trust were as important as courage and skill. Hours passed as they navigated the tunnels, returning to the surface. The ice outside looked softer in the fading light, the wind less biting. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what they had done, and the responsibility of what it meant for the future. When they finally reached the surface, Elias looked out at the horizon. The colony lay in ruins, a silent testament to human curiosity and resilience. He thought of the explorers below and of the courage it took to face the unknown. Humans were small in the universe, yes, but their bravery, Ingenuity and compassion made them capable of remarkable things. Lyra turned to him. You have finished what was required. The planet will recover. Humans can learn from this. If they choose to. Elias nodded, feeling a strange mixture of exhaustion, relief, and hope. Then let them learn. Let them remember. And let us make sure history does not repeat itself. She smiled faintly, a gesture filled with both sadness and admiration. Humans have a place in the stars, Elias. Today you have shown why. As they prepared to leave Calyx 9 behind, Elias knew that the experience had changed him. The darkness below had revealed both the dangers of greed and the power of human courage. He had faced something terrifying, something that could have destroyed him, yet he had emerged alive. Not because he was perfect, but because he was human, and that was enough. The chamber was quiet, almost unnaturally so after the core's pulse had slowed. Elias wiped sweat from his brow, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle deep in his bones. Yet the moment of rest was fleeting. A new tension hung in the air, subtle but undeniable, as if the planet itself had not yet forgiven their intrusion. Something's wrong, Lyra whispered, her violet eyes scanning the chamber. The core is weakened, yes, but it is not defeated. It will fight back. Elias tightened his grip on his tools. He had expected resistance, but nothing prepared him for the sense of awareness that now filled the chamber. The walls seemed to shimmer, pulsing faintly with energy. A low hum, almost like a voice, reverberated through the floor and into his chest. It's trying to communicate, Elias said slowly. Or maybe manipulate us. Lyra nodded. Yes. The core is intelligent, aware. It senses intentions. It can read fear, doubt, even hope. You must resist its influence. Fear will make it stronger. Courage will weaken it. Elias swallowed hard. The core pulsed again, stronger this time, sending waves of pressure through the chamber. The air shimmered, and for a moment, Elias felt his mind blur. Visions flashed before his eyes. The explorers trapped below, their twisted forms reaching out for him. Faces of people he had known, friends and comrades long gone, appeared and vanished in seconds. Don't give in, Lyra shouted, her hand on his shoulder. Remember why you are here? Elias closed his eyes, focusing on the truth he had learned. Humans were resilient, creative, and brave. They faced dangers no other species could endure. He thought of all the missions he had survived, all the lives he had saved. He drew strength from their courage and determination. The visions intensified. The core seemed to twist time and space, showing him nightmares and fears, trying to break his resolve. Elias staggered, fighting to keep his mind clear. His breathing was steady, but his heart pounded in rhythm with the pulses from the core. Lyra moved forward, placing a device near the edge of the chamber. This is a stabilizer, she explained. It will help weaken the core, but it needs protection. I will distract it. You must finish the job. Elias hesitated. What do you mean, distracted? Focus on me, Lyra said. I will draw its attention. You will cut the remaining conduits, disrupt the energy flow. You are stronger when it underestimates you. Before Elias could respond, Lyra stepped closer to the core. Light pulsed along her skin, and she whispered words in her language. The orb brightened, its pulse accelerating. The visions around Elias became more intense, images of failure and despair. He felt as if the chamber itself wanted him to surrender, but he did not. He moved forward, cutting one conduit after another with precision, ignoring the screaming visions in his mind. Sparks flew, the hum of the chamber rising to a deafening roar. Each severed conduit sent a ripple through the orb, weakening its pulse slightly. The visions faltered, and Elias felt a surge of hope. Yet the core was not finished. A sudden wave of energy shot toward him, knocking him off his feet. He hit the floor hard, pain shooting through his side. The orb's pulse grew erratic, violent. Machines fused with organic matter along the chamber walls began to twitch, some stepping forward as if to block him. Lyra shouted, drawing the core's attention fully. "Now, Elias! Do it now!" Summoning all his strength, Elias leapt to his feet. He worked faster, cutting conduits with precision, improvising where needed. The chamber shook violently, and the floor cracked underfoot. Yet he pressed on, fueled by determination and human ingenuity. The core pulsed wildly, images of past intruders flickering in the air, trying to frighten and confuse him. Elias felt their despair, but he did not falter. He reminded himself humans endure, humans adapt, humans overcome. Finally, with a decisive strike, the last conduit was severed. The orb pulsed one last time, a blinding surge of energy filling the chamber. Then it collapsed inward, imploding in on itself. The fused machinery and organic remnants quivered before going still. The chamber went silent. Elias sank to his knees, exhausted, but alive. His breathing was ragged, sweat and frost covering him. Lyra approached, her body shimmering faintly as she absorbed the remaining energy of the core, her sacrifice evident. You did it," she said softly. "The core is defeated. You finished it." Elias shook his head, disbelief and relief mixing. "We did it. You guided me. We survived." Lyra smiled faintly, a mixture of exhaustion and pride in her eyes. "Humans are strong, Elias, stronger than you often believe. Courage, ingenuity, and the will to endure. These are your greatest weapons." He nodded, taking in the chamber around him. The orb was gone. The pulse vanished. Yet the remnants of the explorers and machines remained, silent reminders of the dangers that curiosity and greed could unleash. Elias felt a deep respect for life, human and alien alike. "Now we need to leave," Lyra said, her voice steady despite the weariness in her form. "The chamber is unstable. It will collapse soon." Elias helped her to her feet, feeling the icy sweat on his skin as he guided her toward the exit. The chamber shook violently as they moved, crystals falling from the ceiling. The tunnels themselves seemed to resist their passage, as if the planet wanted to reclaim what they had disturbed. "Almost there," Lyra said. "Keep moving." They navigated the twisting tunnels, the echoes of their steps mingling with the distant hum of collapsing structures. Elias felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Humans had faced death before, but the challenge of the core had tested something deeper, the mind, the heart, the very essence of courage. Finally, they emerged into the surface chamber. The wind of Calyx 9 hit them like a cold wave, biting at their faces. Elias took a deep breath, feeling alive despite the exhaustion. Lyra leaned against him briefly, steadying herself. "You were incredible," she said softly. "Not because of strength, but because of who you are. Human." Elias smiled faintly, exhaustion and pride mixing. "We are capable of amazing things when we must be. I've learned that today." The colony around them was silent, the ruins a reminder of what had been lost. Yet Elias felt hope. Humans were explorers, yes, but they were also resilient, compassionate, and capable of great courage. The mistakes of the past were lessons, and he had survived to carry them forward. Lyra looked at the horizon, where the pale sun reflected off the ice fields. "The planet will heal. But humans, you must remember what you have learned here. Greed brings ruin, courage brings survival, and wisdom. Wisdom brings respect." Elias nodded. "I will remember. We all must." They prepared to leave Calyx 9 behind, stepping into the shuttle as the wind howled around them. Elias felt a sense of closure, but also awareness that the universe held countless other mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. Humans were small, yet their courage could make a difference in even the darkest places. As the shuttle lifted off, Elias looked down at the frozen world below. The tunnels and chambers remained hidden beneath the ice, silent witnesses to the resilience and mistakes of humanity. He realized that exploration was not just about discovery, It was about responsibility. Lyra sat beside him, her form faintly glowing in the shuttle's cabin. "Humans are remarkable," she said. "You faced what others could not. You survived because you did not rely on strength alone. You relied on thought, courage, and understanding." Elias smiled faintly. "Then maybe there is hope for us after all. If we remember what matters, we can survive anything." The shuttle moved through the icy atmosphere, leaving Calyx 9 behind. Elias knew that the universe was vast, filled with unknowns, yet humans had a place in it, not just as survivors but as thinkers, explorers, and guardians of life. And as the stars stretched before him, he realized one simple truth. Humans are fragile, yes, but their courage, ingenuity, and heart make them capable of extraordinary things. And this was only the beginning. The shuttle hummed steadily as it lifted off from the frozen surface of Calyx 9. Elias sat in the pilot's seat, exhausted yet alert, his hands resting on the controls. Outside, the icy world stretched endlessly, silent and cold, hiding the tunnels and chambers where he had faced horrors no human had fully understood. Beside him, Lyra sat quietly, her violet eyes watching the receding planet. Her body still shimmered faintly with the residual energy of the alien core, evidence of her sacrifice in guiding and protecting him. Elias stole a glance at her, feeling gratitude mixed with awe. She had risked herself, teaching him, protecting him, and allowing him to finish the task humans had begun and failed to complete. "It's over," Elias said finally, his voice hoarse. "The core is destabilized. Nothing else should be able to harm this planet, or spread beyond it." Lyra nodded, her expression calm but thoughtful. "The immediate danger is gone, yes. But the lesson remains. Humans cannot forget what has happened here. The consequences of greed and ambition when unchecked are permanent. The core's record is proof." Elias's mind wandered to the explorers he had seen below, their forms merged with machinery, preserved as a warning. He felt a pang of sorrow, but also determination. Humans could learn from mistakes, and perhaps prevent them from repeating in the future. That was their strength, not just survival but the ability to reflect, adapt, and grow. "Do you think humans will remember?" he asked softly. "Will they heed the warning?" Lyra looked at him, her eyes distant. "Some will. Others may forget, but your actions here matter. You faced the unknown, endured, and acted wisely. You have proven that humans are capable of courage, ingenuity, and morality. That is more than many species can achieve." Elias nodded, taking in her words. He had always known humans were small in the universe, but he was beginning to understand something deeper. Size and strength mattered less than the will to endure, the capacity for thought, and the courage to face the unknown. The shuttle entered a stable orbit around Calyx 9. Below, the ice fields shimmered in pale sunlight, untouched by human hands. For now. Elias allowed himself a moment of reflection. The danger they had faced was immense, yet humanity had triumphed, not by force alone but through intelligence, courage, and moral choice. "We need to report this," Elias said, finally breaking the silence. "The fleet needs to know what happened here, the planet, the core, everything. They must understand the risks and what we learned." Lyra's gaze softened. "Yes. But remember, Elias, reporting is not enough. Humans must change their approach to exploration. Respect and wisdom are as important as courage and technology. That is the mark you leave, not just on this planet, but on your species." Elias felt a deep sense of responsibility. He had survived, yes, but survival alone was not enough. Humans had a duty to learn, to respect life, and to balance ambition with understanding. He could carry this lesson forward, and perhaps ensure it shaped the choices of those who came after. Hours passed in relative silence as the shuttle traveled through the upper atmosphere. Elias adjusted the navigation controls, double-checking their course to a nearby human outpost. Lyra remained quiet, yet he could feel her presence, a steady reassurance that they were not alone. "Do you ever regret helping me?" Elias asked after a while. Lyra smiled faintly. Regret is a human emotion. I do not feel it. I only observe, guide, and act as needed. But I can say this. Humans are remarkable. Today you proved why. Elias exhaled, a mixture of relief and exhaustion washing over him. He had faced the core, confronted fear, and endured visions that sought to break his mind. And he had survived, not because of strength alone, but because he relied on thought, courage, and trust. As they approached the outpost, Elias contacted the fleet, sending a detailed report of Calyx 9, the tunnels, and the destabilized core. He described the consequences humans had faced in the past, the lessons learned, and the precautions needed to prevent future disaster. Every word carried weight, the culmination of their struggle and the proof of human resilience. The fleet acknowledged the report, promising to send research teams cautiously and to study the warnings left behind. Elias felt a sense of accomplishment, but also humility. Humans were capable, yes, but the universe was vast, filled with dangers that required not just bravery, but wisdom and respect. Lyra turned to him, her gaze softening. You understand now, Elias. Humans are fragile, but they are also capable of extraordinary things. Courage, ingenuity, and morality. These are your strengths. Never forget them. Elias nodded. I won't. I'll make sure humanity remembers too. We've been tested here, and we survived. That's the story that must be told. The shuttle descended toward the outpost, the frozen landscape stretching below. As they landed, Elias looked out at the horizon. Calyx 9 was silent, seemingly peaceful, but he knew better. The planet had memories, lessons embedded in its tunnels and chambers. Humans had survived because they were clever, brave, and moral, but the memories of those lost below would never be forgotten. At the outpost, he met with officials, scientists, and explorers eager to learn what had happened. Elias recounted every detail. The tunnels, the core, the fused explorers, and the pulse of energy that had challenged both body and mind. Lyra assisted, translating the alien concepts into terms humans could understand. Together they ensured the story was clear, compelling, and filled with lessons. The humans listened, wide-eyed and solemn. They saw the danger, yes, but also the triumph of one human who had faced the unknown and emerged alive. It was a reminder that courage, thought, and morality could shape outcomes even in the most desperate situations. Later, as the day faded, Elias returned to the shuttle. He looked back at Calyx 9, knowing that the planet would heal slowly, that the core's energy would remain contained, and that the lessons of the past would guide the future. Lyra stood beside him. You have done more than survive. You have left a mark, proof that humans can endure, adapt, and act with wisdom. That is a rare quality, even among the stars. Elias smiled faintly. Then maybe humanity isn't so small after all. We're fragile, yes, but we're capable of extraordinary things. We just have to remember who we are and what matters. Lyra's eyes shimmered. Yes, and you will help ensure that memory continues. Humans must carry the lessons forward, to every corner of the universe they touch. The stars stretched out before them, endless and bright. Elias felt hope rising within him. Humans were explorers, survivors, and thinkers. They were fragile but capable, and today they had proven it once more. As the shuttle departed Calyx 9's orbit, Elias reflected on everything he had learned. Fear could be overcome, greed could be resisted, courage and morality could shape even the most dangerous situations. Humans were not perfect, but they were extraordinary in their ability to endure, to think, and to act. And in the quiet hum of the shuttle, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, filled with challenges, mysteries, and opportunities. Humans would face them, as they always had, with courage, ingenuity, and heart. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder, a gesture of trust and understanding. The story of Calyx 9 will live on, Elias. Because of you, humans will remember, and perhaps grow stronger. Elias nodded. He did not need words to respond. The stars outside spoke louder than any language, a reminder that humans were small, yet capable of shaping their destiny among the vast unknown. The shuttle moved through space, carrying both humans and their lessons forward. Elias knew the universe was wide, dangerous, and unpredictable, but humanity had a place in it. A small place, yes, but one defined by courage, morality, and the ability to endure. And as the shuttle disappeared into the darkness, Calyx 9 remained below, silent and watchful. The planet had recorded everything, a memory of both failure and triumph. But Elias had left something too, a mark of humanity, proof that even in the face of unimaginable danger, humans could survive, learn, and rise stronger than before. The journey continued. The universe awaited, and humanity, fragile yet extraordinary, was ready.